When a man and a woman are together, it is inherently not equal. A woman's identity revolves completely around the man that she is attached to, whether it's her kid, her brother, uncle, father, husband, boyfriend, even the guys that she has imaginary relationships with that she just, you know, admiring from afar. It's like that. This is why women say stupid shit like, "Oh, I'm losing," like vague shit, like I'm losing myself in this relationship, blah blah blah. Because that's what happens. When they get into a relationship, they completely take on the character of the man, and that's apparently a lot of pressure. So when the feminist narrative would have you believe that when a man and a woman get together, it's two whole people getting together, but that is absolutely unequivocally not true. When a man and a woman gets together, it's usually a whole person in the man taking on a blank slate of a female. And for example, I saw a story on an insult community about an Indian kid, and his mom basically said that he's a useless sack of meat, and that she wishes that he would kill himself. But we live in a culture of mommy worship, even though mothers are constantly doing absolutely heinous things to their kids. But never mind that. But yeah, that was basically his mom saying that was basically her projection of her own lack of self-worth. Because like I said, a woman's identity is basically whatever man she's attached to. So if she deems that man as lesser, or if that man is apparently on the lower end of the totem pole, and she's going to feel that way about herself, because a woman's value completely derives from the man that she is attached to, and the man that she attaches herself to. So that's really, honestly, probably one of the biggest reasons why relationships always fall apart, because the woman wants more, and she sees herself. She thinks she deserves higher status, like a higher status man, etc., etc. You can't say you want equality, but then you only give a second look to the guy who is superior to you in every way, from his physique, to his mentality, to his intellect, to his social status, to his economic status. This is why I say women are the Jewish sex, because they really just want to leech off of superior specimens. They're parasitic like that. Even your female family is horrible, and they look at you like this. Like, you're worthless unless you can confer to me some sort of status or wealth or what have you. Even, if it's by proxy, especially if it's by proxy. And especially if I don't have to do anything at all, and you're the one who has to do all the work. This is why moms, in particular, pressure their children so much to succeed. Particularly the men, the boy children. Oftentimes, these women have to stop pretending to want it both ways, but maybe that's their strength right there. Is constantly, like I said in a previous video, like constantly keeping people in this ambivalent state, this back and forth state, keeping them on a string, basically, like yo-yoing them up and down, keeping them insecure, unsure of themselves, etc., etc., or trying to, at least. And I think that's where the whole frame shit comes from in the red pill community. But moving on. Men do not exist in a holistic sense to women. I might have talked about this a little bit before, but basically what I mean is that women compartmentalize. So a woman can get, any combination of dick, money, and attention, and good genetics from a guy. And that's where the dual mating strategy comes from. That's where alpha fucks beta bucks comes from, because they compartmentalize. So this guy can give me good genes, but maybe he's a loser. But then I'll have a beta buck safety net to fall back on. And, once I have alpha male genes and I have a child, I can fall back on a beta buck who can't give me genes, but he can give me attention and money. So that's like, but if you think about the, that's why personality is so inconsequential, because, like, she can get that from any guy, technically. But the guys with good genes are very few. And the guys with money are very few. So that's why the dual mating strategy focuses on those, essentially on those two things, resources and genetics. Men love people and women love things. When a man loves a woman, he has to love the inherent characteristics of that particular woman, because she brings no external value to the table, whereas the man does. That's why the man is essentially only loved for what he brings to the table. Whereas the men in society are essentially forced to love women in the ethereal sense, in the spiritual, metaphysical sense. So, even society as a whole does this. Like, we're all hamstering ourselves with the women are wonderful mentality and all that stuff. So, a man can do anything on his own. He doesn't need a woman to provide him with any utility. And even if he did, even if he was a sort of man-child or whatever, which a lot of men are these days, he wouldn't have that luxury unless he had amazing genetics like Jeremy Meeks or whatever, mentioned that in a previous video. He's not going to find like some utility female who's willing to be his utility. And even if he could, it probably would not last too long, would it? Because certainly all her family members would be telling her, you can't do that. This guy's a loser, blah, 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 etc., etc. No man's family says that to him. It's certainly it's much more rare in the other direction. That woman's a loser. She doesn't have a job. You need to get rid of her. Women only pretend to not need men, but this is the exact reason that they resent us so much. They know that they need us to survive. For all the crap we see about feminism, women still appeal to men to do literally everything there is to do in this world. And they still lean on us for everything. That's why when disaster strikes, the natural role that women fall into in its more extreme and more pronounced is to exchange sex for resources and security. Prostitution becomes the most dominant profession when disaster strikes. Whether it's direct or subtle prostitution. In other words, please do this for me and I'll maybe sleep with you. Or please give me this and I'll maybe sleep with you. They can't pretend to be independent in an actual society where survival is not guaranteed and there's no safety nets. There's no financial safety nets everywhere. There's no social safety nets everywhere. Another thing I noticed is, like, as I get older, I notice a lot of females reject older guys. So, in that sense, the wall is real for guys too, because women think that we age in the same way that they do, more crutch spawn. So they project the wall onto us. Like, I don't want an older dude because I think that men age as badly as I do, which of course we don't. So that's why alpha bucks isn't really a thing, because even when the females get the alpha male to commit, instead of run away, he immediately becomes unattractive to her because he's no longer unattainable. There's no more mystery to him anymore. Mystery being one of the top variables that attracts women. This kind of ties in with Perfault's law. Like once you provide the benefit to the woman, it immediately is wiped from her memory. Like they only have present and forward memory. There's no hard drive, basically. Like goldfish or whatever that animal is that supposedly has a 10-minute memory span. And maybe that ties in with evolution because, I mean, like I said, they do need us to survive. So obviously, any past benefit is null and void after the fact. A gigantic hornet just flew past me. So you can look at women like Aisha Curry, and you see she gets a high quality man, but she complains because he's too high quality and too many women want him, and it makes her feel low value. So you can see the projection again with that. But then, if a woman like that was to have a low quality man, by the way, this being an average woman who's like a 6, 7 tops, and that's with all her makeup and stuff and all that. But she has a low quality man, quote unquote, then the complaint is essentially the same, but in a different direction. So the complaint then is that bitches don't want him. So that makes her feel low quality because she has a man who is not desired by other women. And these creatures simply are not meant to be happy. They are meant to breed and then die. You know, it's probably, if it even exists, if it even exists, it's most definitely well below 1%. The 1% of women who are actually capable of some sustainable happiness, of finding some sustainable happiness. Because to do that, they have to break the mold. They have to break the mold and just kind of lock into the essentials of life, what a person needs to be happy and satisfied and so on. Most women aren't going to do that because they're caught up keeping up with the Joneses and like trying to live up to their family's expectations and all that stuff, to actually seek some sort of individual liberation, which is going to start in the brain, in their own head. This is even true for most men. I think it takes a very special person to actually find some sort of happiness, and it's not guaranteed, obviously, you know. And it has a lot to do with just being able to secure the fucking basics of life.